What if you're already dead, and this life is just the echo? Sounds insane, right? But here's the terrifying part. You wouldn't even know it. Not at first. There's no dramatic moment, no flash of light, no shadowy figure whispering your name. From the beyond, just a sense that something is off. Like Dacia, ou've that won't go away. People ignoring you when you speak. Time feeling sticky, inconsistent. Objects where they shouldn't be. Sounds with no source. You feel misplaced. Some cultures call this the in-between. Others, the echo state. But one forbidden text goes further, claims that this life might just be your mind, resisting death, a loop, a memory, program. Still running long after the machine shut down. Here's the kicker. If you are dead, the real question isn't what happens next. It's what unfinished frequency is holding you back. This video isn't here to comfort you. It's here to wake you up. Because if you're trapped in an echo, you need to know what broke you before it's too late to move on.
Stay
with me. And if you're ready to see the afterlife without filters, without fear, and maybe even without you, then hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because YouTube will only show you more of this truth if you ask for it.
What?
You've heard stories of tunnels of light, loved ones calling, life flashing before your eyes. But what if none of that is real? What if those are just artifacts? Emotional projections? Residual code running in a dying system, according to an ancient banned manuscript, one that's been erased, hidden, and hunted down for centuries. Death is not a moment. It's not even an event. It's a system, structured, layered, precise, just like birth. The text claims that after your final breath, your awareness doesn't stop. It shifts, detaches. It drifts into a new framework of perception, one where time doesn't obey, where identity fractures, and where your emotional weight determines your trajectory. Not heaven, not hell, but resonance. You don't go somewhere, you align with something. And for most people, this transition goes unnoticed, because we were never taught how to feel death, only to fear it. This video isn't about religion, it's not about belief, it's about a blueprint, one that matches whispers from mystics, scraps of forgotten science, and visions people swear they saw during near-death experiences. It's about you, because if this manuscript is even partially right, then everything you do, every thought, every emotion, every silence, echoes beyond the grave. So ask yourself this: if today was your last breath, what kind of frequency would you leave behind? And more importantly, would it set you free or trap you deeper? So here's the unsettling truth. You don't feel dead at first. There's no clean separation, no sharp cutoff, no sudden absence. Just a strange sense that the world has gone slightly silent, like it's watching you, but not responding anymore. Your hands still move, you still blink, you try to speak, but nothing answers back. You see your body, yes, but your mind can't accept it. This isn't real. This can't be happening. According to the forbidden manuscript, the first 7 days after death are spent in denial. Not emotional denial, sensory denial. Your soul still vibrates at the frequency of life, so it doesn't realize the shift has already begun. And during this week, you're not alone. You're surrounded, but not by angels or demons or ancestors, by memories. They don't behave like memories should. They loop, they orbit, play unfinished conversations, guilt, shame, love, left unspoken. You revisit moments not because you choose to, but because your frequency matches them. You are magnetized to your own unresolved energy. That's the first trap. And most souls get stuck here for days, months, sometimes years, never realizing they've already passed. Let's pause, because this isn't metaphor. This is mechanical. The manuscript describes this stage as emotional inertia. The soul vibrates in resonance with regret, anger, longing, and as long as that resonance persists, the soul cannot rise, cannot reset, cannot see clearly. But there's a way out. It begins on day 3. That's when something terrifying happens. The soul tries to go back. Not spiritually, literally. It tries to re-enter the body. It doesn't understand why the world isn't responding, so it pushes itself into the shell it used to wear. And it fails, because the body's done. The machine has shut down. The software is still running, but the hardware is cold. This is when panic begins. The manuscript calls this the breaking. The moment when the illusion collapses. Some souls scream. Others fall completely silent. A few, the rare ones, begin to observe instead of react. They notice something new. The shadows, not monsters, yet not ghosts, witnesses, silent beings standing just outside your vision, observing, never interfering, never comforting. They're not there to help. They're there to reflect, to mirror your frequency back at you. Their presence forces a question most souls aren't ready to face. If I'm not this body, what am I now? And this is where the second cycle begins. By day 7, the soul starts to let go of the physical. But what comes next is far worse, the mirror phase. You don't remember your life the way you lived it. You feel it the way others felt you. Not what you meant, what they experienced. The friend you betrayed, the child you neglected, the stranger you uplifted without knowing it. Every interaction replays from the inside out. You become the people you affected. The manuscript is clear. This is not about punishment. There is no divine judgment, no gods, no devils, only impact. The vibration of your presence, stripped of excuses. And here's the devastating truth. Intention doesn't matter. You don't get to say, I didn't mean to. You just feel. The result, and for many souls, this is unbearable. But it's also liberating. Because once you see the raw, unfiltered map of your impact, something begins to shift. The soul starts shedding the lies it told itself. The ego thins. When you arrive at the first real choice, around day 30, your awareness stabilizes. You're no longer confused. You know what happened? You're no longer obsessed with returning to life. Now you're obsessed with something else. Legacy. Not in the fame or success sense. Legacy. As in resonance. What stayed behind after you left? What your presence did to the field of people around you. This is where the manuscript introduces a radical idea. Emotional echoes. Every word you ever spoke is still vibrating somewhere. Every silence you chose, every glance, every smile, every dismissal, they ripple. And those ripples shape not only how others remember you, but where your soul moves next. Let that sink in. Not your beliefs, not your rituals, your emotional signature determines the path ahead. It's not good versus evil. It's not sin versus virtue. It's resonance versus distortion. If your life was filled with shame, fear, blame, that distortion drags you down. If your life was rooted in love, clarity, truth, that resonance pulls you forward, and the system can't be tricked. It doesn't care what you said you believed. It cares how you made people feel. Here's where it gets even more disturbing. Because by day 35, something cracks open, not outside of you, but within. You begin to realize that everything you thought was real was a story, and not even yours. The names you wore, the titles, the roles, the masks, they weren't chosen. They were inherited, forced, absorbed, performed. You see your life now like a stage play. And you remember moments you knew the script was wrong, but you kept saying the lines anyway. That's the second trap, self-amnesia. We forget who we are so deeply that even in death we keep pretending. But the mirror doesn't lie. In the manuscript, this is called frequency collapse. The moment your soul's pretend self can no longer maintain the illusion, and what emerges is raw, wild, unfiltered. Sometimes it's beautiful, other times it's monstrous. Both are you, and this is crucial. The afterlife doesn't punish your darkness, it just shows it to you. Because only when you see it, not justify it, not deny it, can you change its frequency. That's the first real step to freedom. But most souls, they don't take it. They cling to their story, to their image, to their wounds. And clinging has a cost. Around day 40, the manuscript says, a shift occurs. It's not spiritual. Vibrational. You were pulled toward your own resonance field, a kind of energetic gravity well made of your emotional patterns. And if those patterns are heavy, distorted, unprocessed, you start to drift. Not forward, sideways. This is where the concept of the gray appears, a liminal plane where souls get stuck, not because they're bad, but because they're frozen, stuck in loops, willing to release their narrative, unable to forgive, ready to evolve. The gray isn't a place, it's a condition. It's an echo of a soul that refuses to let go of who it thinks it is. And this, the manuscript warns, is the most dangerous form of death: stagnation. Because here's the thing, in the afterlife, time is not linear, it's vibrational. So 1 second in the gray can feel like 1,000 years. You're not tormented by devils, you're haunted by your own unfinished frequencies. Every regret, every shame, every secret. It doesn't replay like a movie, it replays like hunger, a craving for resolution that never comes, unless you change the vibration. And this brings us to the next truth most people don't want to hear. You can't be rescued. Not by angels, not by gods, not by prayer. Because rescue implies someone can change your frequency for you. They can't. That's the secret no religion wants to admit. And that's why this manuscript was buried, because it takes all the power they said belonged to heaven and gives it back to you. But with that power comes the burden of self-awareness. Because there's no one else to blame. Not your parents, not your enemies, not your fate. Only you and the vibrations you fed, amplified, protected. That's why the soul's journey after death is not about reward. It's about resonance. And once you understand that, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see your past not as a chain of events, but as a pattern. And patterns can be reprogrammed, not to erase them, but to learn from them. It's the beginning of the next cycle, emotional recalibration. By day 60, the soul isn't just watching anymore. It's feeling with precision. You start to detect subtle shifts in how you respond. What used to trigger pain now evokes compassion. What used to inspire shame now invites understanding. You're no longer afraid of your own darkness, because you see it for what it is. Distorted light, pain that wasn't metabolized, fear that was never witnessed, love that was withheld, usually from yourself. And here the mirror becomes a portal, because every truth you fully feel frees you. Every shadow you integrate lifts your signal. And then something rare happens. Some souls, just a few, begin to radiate. Not light, not holiness. Coherence. A resonance so clear, so stable, that the entire echo field around them begins to change. And suddenly, they're no longer stuck in loops. They're moving fast, through memories, through fields, through frequencies. The manuscript calls this the slide, a rapid shift that begins once the soul stops resisting and starts integrating. No more denial, no more pretending, only presence. And with presence comes possibility. For the first time since death, you sense it. There's a way out, but not up, not forward, inward. Because what comes next isn't a place, it's a decision. Not a decision you make with words, a decision your frequency makes on your behalf. But that's the second half of the journey, and we'll get there soon. It begins without warning. Somewhere between day 91 and 120, the afterlife changes tone. Everything softens. Not in kindness, but in clarity. You're no longer watching the past. You're standing in the space between realities. The manuscript calls it the threshold. And unlike everything before, this isn't passive. This is choice. But not in the way you're used to. Because there's no sign, no gatekeeper, no booming voice. Just a question, one that doesn't come. In words, what are you now? You feel it in your field, in your core. And the answer determines everything. Here's what the manuscript says. The afterlife doesn't reward your virtues. It responds to your vibration, so you don't go where you deserve. You go where you resonate. There are 3 outcomes, 3 doors, 3 frequencies, and each one is terrifying in its own way. Door 1, ascension. Not heaven, not paradise, but dissolution. The end of your you-ness. the surrender of story, of ego, of form. You don't go to the source, you become it. And for most souls, that's more frightening than any hell, because it means letting go of everything. Your name, your face, even your memories. Only those who've completed the full integration, who've faced the mirror and walked through it without flinching, can step through this door without resistance. And the manuscript is clear. Ascension is not a reward, it's a consequence, a result of perfect coherence. Few souls reach it. Even fewer stay. Most, when faced with this final surrender, hesitate. And in that hesitation, the second door opens. Door 2. Recycling. Not reincarnation the way we've been taught. No mystical roulette wheel. No punishment, just precision. You return because your resonance still contains loops, patterns, unfinished frequencies. So the universe crafts a new container, a life, that's engineered to help you resolve them. Same soul, new costume, different script, same themes, love, abandonment, control, shame, forgiveness. All tailored to help you evolve. And this is where most souls go. Not because they failed, but because they're still becoming. Rebirth, according to the book, isn't failure, it's feedback, and your next life. It's designed by your current frequency. That's why patterns repeat, why trauma echoes, why relationships feel familiar. It's not karma, it's architecture. But there's a third door, door 3, the gray, and it's the hardest to understand because it's not a path, it's a pause, drift, a vibration. Too unstable to align with any outcome? Souls end up here not because they're lost, but because they refuse to choose, to surrender, to release. They cling to who they were, not because they love it, but because they fear the unknown. The gray isn't punishment. It's stasis, a realm of waiting, of echo, of forgetting. The longer you stay, the more you fade, till all that's left is a hum, a frequency with no form. These are the ghosts, the hauntings, the energies that feel present but have no anchor. Not evil, just undecided. And here's the terrifying part. No one tells you which path you took. There's no sign, no confirmation. You just go. Based on your signal. That's why the manuscript repeats one phrase over and over. You cannot fake frequency. Not with beliefs, not with affirmations, not with rituals. Because the system isn't listening to your words, it's reading your field. And your field is built moment by moment, choice by choice, feeling by feeling. That's why the most important question is never what happens when I die. It's what am I becoming right now? Because what you carry in this life, you'll carry through that gate, and once you cross, there's no speech, no negotiation, only alignment. By day 180, your trajectory is already set. Not because someone chose for you, but because you've already become the choice. And it doesn't end there, because the second half of the year is something few remember. Most souls have transitioned to embodiment, to rebirth, or to drift. But for those rare few who remain, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The manuscript calls it the return point. Not a place, not an ending, but a kind of completion. By day 270, the soul isn't questioning anymore, remembering not who it was in life, who it was before identity, before memory, before form. You begin to sense a vibration that feels older than death, older than time, your original resonance. That's when you realize the afterlife isn't linear, it's a spiral. And every death, every birth, every loop through the 3 doors isn't a cycle, it's a training, a refinement of frequency. And when that becomes clear, you understand something beautiful and horrifying. You've done this before. Countless times, you've chosen each path, been lost, been reborn, been merged, and you came back to try again. Not because you failed, but because there's something in you that knows you're meant to wake up fully, finally now. And here's the final twist. Just when you think the journey is complete, that the frequency has settled, that your soul has aligned, something else begins to call. Not behind you, ahead. The manuscript doesn't name it. No diagram, no explanation, just a phrase scribbled. In the margins, barely legible. There is another gate. It opens when you stop looking for it. What it means. No one knows for sure. Some say it's the beginning of a realm beyond resonance, a state where even vibration dissolves. Others claim it's the real start of what we call awakening. But whatever it is, that's not this story. That's the next one. And it starts right here. Click the video that appears on your screen. It's not because you're curious, but because you're finally ready. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.